Hey there, garden lovers! Today is January 23rd, and this is a Garden a Day with Maidenbrock Gardens. We are back in the United States today, and we're headed to the Sunshine State. Time magazine listed today's garden as one of the world's greatest places in 2024, and I must say this location is one of my personal favorites. So where are we? Today we are exploring Marie Selby Botanical Gardens in lovely Sarasota, Florida. What began as a two-story Spanish-style house on 7 acres is today a 45-acre botanical garden on 2 campuses, 15 acres in downtown Sarasota and 30 acres about 10 miles south at historic Spanish Point. The distance is an easy drive, but visitors can explore both campuses the old Florida way by boat on select Saturdays. The boat tour starts at 10 a.m. and lasts most of the day with full access to both campuses, lunch at historic Spanish Point, and a round-trip boat ride on the Intracoastal Waterway. The garden was founded in 1973 and opened to the public in 1975 after Marie Selby, who passed away in 1971 and for whom the garden is named, left her home and 7-acre estate to the community as a botanical garden for the enjoyment of the general public. She and her husband, Bill Selby, who worked in oil and mining, spent their winters in Sarasota and purchased 7 acres that bordered the Sarasota Bay and Hudson Bayou. They built their 2-story Spanish-style home on the property in the early 1920s, and Marie designed the gardens, including a large rose garden. The Selbys enjoyed boating and fishing, but gardening was Marie Selby's passion. She was a charter member of Sarasota's first garden club. In 1973, the garden more than doubled with the purchase of the neighboring Payne Mansion, which today houses the garden's museum. The downtown campus includes 8 greenhouses with more than 20,000 greenhouse plants. The Tropical Conservatory is the only greenhouse open to the public. The Marie Selby Botanical Garden is the only one in the world to focus study on epiphytes, plants that grow on the surface of other plants and get their moisture and nutrients from the air, rain, or marine environment. Examples include Spanish moss, bromeliads, ferns, and orchids. The garden has the most extensive documented collection of bromeliads and orchids in the world. And that's not the only thing that puts them in the #1 spot. The Marie Selby Botanical Garden is the first botanical garden in the world to go net positive for energy use. They've installed a 57,000 square foot solar array that exceeds their energy demands by more than 10% each year. And to further their eco-friendly endeavors, they've installed a stormwater management system that diverts and cleans millions of gallons of runoff each year before it returns to Sarasota Bay. There are significant trees in the gardens, both large and small, that can be enjoyed along the Palm Promenade, the mangrove walkway, the hardwood hammock, the banyan grove, and even the bonsai exhibit. The downtown campus also includes a children's rainforest garden where children can cross a rope bridge, learn about the water cycle at a 12-foot-high waterfall, or enjoy the shade of a century-old banyan tree. Children will also love visiting the historic Spanish Point campus to see the butterfly house. More than 160 species of butterfly call Florida home, with dozens more visiting on their migratory path. Children and adults will enjoy exploring the butterfly house to see just which butterflies are visiting today. Historic Spanish Point also includes an outdoor butterfly garden that attracts not only butterflies, but birds. The garden considers Historic Spanish Point an environmental museum. Located on Little Sarasota Bay, the property consists of several natural ecosystems, including coastal beach, tidal marsh, mangrove swamp, pine flatlands, and stands of oaks. Over 50% of the region's native plants and trees are represented at Historic Spanish Point. The point was once owned by Bertha Palmer, a widowed Chicago socialite who came to Sarasota in 1910 to establish a winter residence. She purchased thousands of acres for citrus groves, cattle ranching, and development, including Historic Spanish Point, which she named Osprey Point. She connected the existing pioneer buildings with lavish gardens, which have been preserved. Columns of a pergola she had installed and the sunken garden are still visible today. The pioneer buildings were built by the Webb family, previous owners of the point who settled the land in 1867. The Webbs were a family from Utica, New York, who established a homestead on the Gulf after learning about the land from a Spanish trader they met in Key West. The Webbs named the area Spanish Point in honor of the man who told them about the land. In 1881, John Webb established a post office on Spanish Point so the family would not have to travel 20 miles by boat to get their mail. The Postal Service required a one-word name, so John Webb called his postal address Osprey. The Webbs built a cottage on the property and invited guests to visit in winter, thus establishing the first tourist resort in the area. The cottage is still located on the property and is known as White Cottage. Today, the cottage is used to show an exhibit on Bertha Palmer. The Webbs also built a small chapel that is still on the property. Known as Mary's Chapel, the structure was rebuilt in 1986 with the original stained glass windows and bell. A citrus packing house and boathouse are also preserved from the pioneer days of Old Florida. But these are not the only historic places of note at historic Spanish Point. Archaeological evidence points to more than 5,000 years of human occupation at the point. There are several mounds and middens from indigenous peoples who vacated the area long before the Webbs settled. The Marie Selby Botanical Gardens offers a rich experience for visitors in areas not only of botany and horticulture, but also historic preservation, cultural arts, and environmental stewardship. The garden keeps a spirit collection of approximately 35,000 vials of plants and plant parts preserved in fluid. 33,000 of those vials contain orchids. The Selby Gardens Spirit Collection is the second largest in the world. Only the Royal Botanic Gardens at Kew in the UK is larger. The research library houses more than 7,000 books, 14,000 scientific journals, and 2,500 microfiche, including rare books from the 1700s. The garden's herbarium contains more than 115,000 specimens and more than 13,000 accessions in its living collection. One of the newest research initiatives of the garden is the Molecular Lab. The lab is used for researching and conserving epiphytes. The garden is not all work and no play. The Marie Selby Botanical Gardens are known for bringing world-renowned artists' exhibits to the garden. In 2025, George Harrison, A Gardener's Life is on view at the downtown campus from February 9th through June 29th. The exhibition show explores the famous musician's love of gardening through the restoration of his estate, including his home, lodges, and 32 acres of grounds. At the historic Spanish Point campus, the exhibit Patti Smith Book of Days is on view and includes a selection of photographs taken by the artist that offer a glimpse into her life on and off the road. Patti Smith Book of Days runs through August 2025. Previous exhibitions have included Salvador Dali, Paul Gauguin, and Andy Warhol. The garden offers classes for adults and children throughout the year, including plein air painting and yoga for adults and summer camps for children. And of course, you won't leave hungry. Michael's on East, a popular restaurant and wine cellar in Sarasota, operates a food truck at the historic Spanish Point campus and the Green Orchid at the downtown campus of the garden. The Green Orchid is a garden-to-table concept restaurant. Much of the produce used in their dishes comes from their own garden grown on the roof of the restaurant. And because the restaurant is located at the Botanical Garden, the Green Orchid is fully solar-powered, making it the first net positive energy restaurant in the world. Another first for the Marie Selby Botanical Gardens. For more casual fare, the downtown campus also offers the Selby House Cafe for a quick coffee, iced tea, sandwich, or salad. And you can also purchase a box lunch to take with you. The folks at Marie Selby Botanical Gardens are doing a lot of great things. I hope you get a chance to visit. Let me know if you do. Well, that's about it for today. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Join me tomorrow to see where we're going next. If you like A Garden a Day, please consider liking, following, or subscribing to the podcast. It lets you know when a new episode is available, and it lets me know you like the show. Also, if you are able, please consider giving the show a 5-star review. I appreciate it very much. If all goes well, I'll be right back here tomorrow. See you then.